Good day, this is Owen McCafferty. Again, I am so grateful that you've chosen to at least listen to us for a very short narrative on what's occurring and trending in veterinary medicine, dentistry, and dermatology. I want to thank, as usual, Good Manners Demands, Professional Fusion, for being kind enough to sponsor us in this endeavor. Today I'd like to talk specifically about the planning that's required in the fee schedule that you might have in your practice. And I use the word planning because there is a term called Priceology. And Priceology is determination of what is a fair and equitable fee based on your geographic area, your competencies, the skill sets that are needed, the risks that you assume in an obligation, the facilities that you've maintained, the personnel assemblage that you have engaged, and then finally the timeliness and competency that you have to deliver on a specific procedure or diagnostic in a manner that is truly unique and adds value and worth to the patient, and in veterinary medicine, in similarity, the client. So when you're looking at Priceology, and something that I think you've probably heard before, you want to look at your geographic area. Now you got to be careful because there's so many different rules, so many different regulations, things you can and can't do. But just as a broad brush, you can't collude with anybody else in terms of setting a fee for service that's outside the scope of your specific practice. You cannot generally, and of course you have to engage a competent attorney licensed in your state, commonwealth, or in Canada province to advise you as to what you can do in the area of Priceology. But as the rule usually follows, you can't be asking somebody, hey, what do you charge for this? Because that then could be considered collusionary and therefore against the law. So I'm going to start out this narrative by a caution. Please do not do that. But when you look at what you're offering, there's a variety of different ways to look at it. First of all, there's the classic cost method, and that is that you would go through an exhaustive analysis, seeing how many minutes it would require for the specific procedure, surgery, diagnostic that's needed, all of the direct costs, for example, the laboratory costs, the drug costs that might be entailed in it, the cost of all the equipment that's needed, the maintenance of it, the facility, the lease costs, the shared indirect cost for real estate taxes and insurance, the personnel assemblage cost. I've done this now for 47 years, and in that instance for 47 years owning my own practice, I've seen many different people try a variety of clearly cost-centered efforts, including myself, and in every instance it fails miserably because the cost method, although it does give you a baseline in terms of what you can charge, is never complete, never thorough, and it doesn't take into consideration all factors. But it's a good pedantic exercise, not a bad thing to do just to see where things are going, but it's going to cost a fortune to do. Second option would be the market. And of course you have to be careful in the market method because you can't just go and ask somebody who's in your catchment, in your geographic area, what they charge, because that could be adverse to the interests of the consumers as a whole. And there are prohibitions, there are laws, there are regulations that at the federal and state level that clearly prohibit you from doing it. But in the market method, you really don't have capacity to access information unless it's historical, unless it might be outside of your catchment. Now, I can think of a couple different associations that publish historical information, not current information, but historical information as a planning tool. And I would strongly encourage you, as long as it's legal within your state, province, or commonwealth, to gain access to these because they help you. in looking at where things sit. Of course, we live in an inflationary time. In fact, an old term that I saw from a continuing education course I attended yesterday, stagflation, that is a stagnancy or recessionary activity coupled with an inflationary impact on the fiat, is something that will be seen, I'd say, over the next 6-7 years. We're not going to be able to get out of this inflationary cycle, so therefore it's going to take some time. In the United States alone, $35 trillion of indebtedness, and escalating as we just live and breathe, is going to force you to re-examine what you charge in terms of fees. So you're going to have to be making this not just a once a year activity, but probably every quarter. And if we do get into the times that we did from 1973 to 1984, 83, depends on what geographic part of the country you're in, you will be in need of possibly making adjustments in your fees monthly. So it's going to be a long-term process. It's going to require skills. You will see priceologists telling you exactly what you should be charging and how you should be doing it. Be careful, because the priceologists could overprice your fees and your services at a level that it just becomes impossible for the public to access. So you have to look at the unique nature of what you're charging. So it is more an art than it's a science, but I strongly encourage you to be looking at it on a perpetual basis, at least every quarter. And for some of you, as we get more into this stagflation that I think unfortunately will be a part and parcel of our existence over the next 5-6 years, you have to possibly be looking at your fees on a monthly basis, keeping in mind that your employees are going to be looking for a way to stay current with this nightmare called price increases and maintaining the dignity and the status for their family. So this type of activity will be a continuing one. All right, I'd like to say thank you. My name is Owen McCafferty. I would strongly encourage you to consider getting together, pulling up some coffee, sequestering yourself in a small room, a conference room, with some key people in your practice, and debating the issue of Priceology. In fact, if you want to replay one of these narratives as a starting point for the discussion, please do. So with that, I want to say thank you very much. See you again